मय्येव मन आधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः.
When you follow verses 6 and 7, your mind will be calm. It will be withdrawn from the world. And in and through your daily activities, the focus will naturally go towards the higher. And when you reach this stage, you are prescribed the practice of meditation, which is what he speaks of here in the 8th verse. Meditation is the simplest to explain, the most difficult to follow. It is deceptively simple. When you hear it, when you read it, when you practice it in the beginning, it seems so simple. But when you continue with it, then you realize how difficult it is to fix the mind on one thought. So let's see what he says. Focus your mind on me only. Let your intellect dwell on me. Then you will, without a doubt, live in me alone. So, simple. See, the 3 practices we saw in 6 and 7 took so long to explain, so long to understand. So, let's take a look at what is meditation. He's defining meditation here. Meditation is focusing the mind on a single thought. Fix your mind on me only. Me means when Krishna or all the masters use the word me, what do they mean? Atman. They are not talking about the personality of Krishna, they are talking about Atman, the spirit. So fix your mind on the spirit, which is the highest goal, meditation. Let your intellect dwell on me. So the mind repeats a thought, one thought, to the exclusion of all other thoughts. But what is important here is the intellect must be in place, the intellect must be aware of what the mind is doing, intellect must be in command of the mind's repetition of the thought. If the intellect is not in place, it's not meditation. So for instance, when a young person falls in love, when a young girl falls in love, whatever she does, whether she goes to university or she's with her parents or whatever she does, her mind is constantly on the beloved. But is that meditation? No. Why? Because the intellect is not there. It's the mind itself flowing towards a particular object is not meditation. So there must be 3 things. The mind must be fixed on one thought. The mind must not shift to any other thought. And all this process must take place under the supervision of the intellect. Once, if this happens, then it is meditation. So, what kind of mantra must the mind chant? Theoretically, the mantra can be anything. Mantra means thought. The thought could be anything. But Om is supposed to be the ideal mantra because Om has no association with any worldly things. Except in English. When you say Om, you think of home. But in no Indian language, Om has any association with any other worldly thing. And so therefore, when it slips, it's easier to bring it back. When the mind chants the mantra, the intellect is constantly discriminating between the chant, between the thought, and silence, between the matra and amatra. So whenever the mind slips, if the intellect is in place, the intellect brings it back. As you continue with the meditation, you get into deeper and deeper levels of meditation and quietude. And even the chant, which is in mental whispers in any case, the mental whispers get softer and softer. Until stop the chant. When you stop the chant, what happens? The thought is gone. So when the thought goes, the mind goes. The mind has no other thought, it has only one thought. When the sound goes, the pair of opposite is gone, only silence remains. So the intellect gets transfixed, it gets confused and gets established in that silence. And because it is jobless, there is no discrimination to do. Intellect also goes. When mind and intellect go, what remains is Atman. You get to the state of realization. Therefore he says, Nivasishyasi mayeva, you will live in me alone, because Atman alone exists. There is no thought, there is no mind, there is no intellect. Now come back to us. The problem with us is the mind is constantly flitting from thought to thought, and most importantly, the intellect has no control whatsoever over the ramblings of the mind. Isn't that true? You tell your mind, see, you command your hand to rise and the hand will obey implicitly if you are a normal person. If you are paralytic, then the hand can't obey. But you tell your mind to focus here on the Gita. It remains there for a while and then it jumps off to all kinds of places. It taunts you with impertinence, with disobedience. But it never occurs to us that our own mind is revolting against our own command. So the mind is like a ping pong ball. You command it to remain in a position, it follows your instruction. But then it takes off in a bizarre, jittery flight of bounces. Uncontrollable. Have you ever tried a ping pong ball? You let go of it, like those of you who played table tennis will understand. You miss the ball, it goes. One bounce, it's easy to retrieve. After that, impossible to retrieve. You run after that ping pong ball. That's the exercise in table tennis. It's not the playing of the table tennis. It's the ball that you miss that you have to run after. So, this is our condition. How to get this restless, jittery mind to that point of concentration and meditation is the whole exercise in spirituality. So therefore, verse 8 describes the process of meditation. And now, verses 9 to 12 speak of what happens when you're not able to meditate. Obviously, you're not able to meditate because the mind is not controlled, the intellect is not strong enough. So, verse 9, he says, if you're not able to meditate, then he steps down the practices. Let's see what he says. 9.